And now I'm happy to take some questions. Cecilia Vega of ABC.
Thank you so much, sir. Good evening. Um, you mentioned your sit down with Vladimir Putin and Russian aggression that came up in your conversations today. I'd like to ask you two questions, if I may, on that front. Is it your sense walking into this meeting that Americans back home shouldn't expect much in terms of an outcome? Could you provide some specifics on what a successful meeting would look like to you? Are there going to be specific concessions you want Putin to make? And then I'll just give you my follow-up right now. You've met Vladimir Putin before. What have you learned about him that informs how you approach this sit down with him? And what's your mindset walking into a meeting with a former KGB agent who you've said has no soul?
I'll tell you all that when it's over. Look, I've been doing this a long time. The last thing anyone would do is negotiate in front of the world press as to how he's going to approach a critical meeting with another adversary and or someone who could be an adversary. It's the last thing I'm going to do. But I will tell you this. I'm going to make clear to President Putin that there are areas where we can cooperate if he chooses. And if he chooses not to cooperate and acts in a way that he has in the past relative to cybersecurity and some other activities, then we will respond. We will respond in kind. There need not be. We should decide where it's in our mutual interest, in the interest of the world, to cooperate and see if we can do that. And the areas where we don't agree, make it clear what the red lines are. I have met with him. He's bright. He's tough. And I have found that he is as they say when he used to play ball, a worthy adversary. But the fact is that I will be happy to talk with you when it's over, not before, about what the discussion will entail. Nancy Cordes, CBS.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also have two questions about Vladimir Putin. The first is, have any of the world leaders you've met with this week expressed concern that by meeting with President Putin this early in your presidency, that it'll look like you're rewarding him?
What's your second question?
The second question is what it will mean for the U.S.-Russia relationship if Alexei Navalny were to die or be killed in prison.
Every world leader here as a member of NATO that spoke today, and most of them mentioned it, thanked me for meeting with Putin now. Every single one that spoke. And I think there were probably about 10 or 12 that spoke to it, saying they were happy that I did that I was going to do that. And they thought it was thoroughly appropriate that I do. And I had discussions with them about, in the open, about what they thought was important from their perspective and what they thought was not important. And so the interesting thing is, I know, and I'm not being critical of the press, I really mean this, give my word. But generically, you all thought, was Biden meeting him too soon? I haven't found a world leader who doesn't think it's not soon, it's just soon enough. Everyone that I've spoken to, privately and publicly, it doesn't mean there aren't some out there, but it's not likely that a head of state is going to stand up in front of 29 other heads of state and say, boy, I'm glad you're doing this, in effect. So there is a...
All right, Shalom. I'd like to start off with saying Kyle Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Hashem Harikakudash Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing this truth and sincerity and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahweh Shai. All right, so there you have it, man. There's a couple of key points on this interview that Joe Biden, Creepy Joe, was having with the press about this UN summit and his meeting with Vladimir Putin, who he has called a worthy adversary, noted. Um, and just like this Zaquan Elder Aharawan said in his video, is basically they're setting Russia up as to be the bad guy, is the reasoning behind the collapse of the global economy and the collapse of the U.S. petrodollar. Um, that's how he said. Putin just said. Biden just said it's like if we have to deal with any of more of uh, their attacks, cyber attacks, duly noted, cyber attacks. He mentioned that, and he's like, America will respond. All right, so in the response to that, you could tell that he's setting the tone to where like he's not, and America's not going to this meeting with Putin to negotiate. They're going to dictate. And now, Vladimir Putin and Russia is going to say no to all the things that Biden is talking about, and which is going to cause things to escalate, and then they're going to sabotage the whole get up, and point the finger at Russia as the reason why we need an economical global reset, and to resort to one world currency, that one form of currency that everybody can trust. They put their trust in American dollars for over the years. Um, since not the 1940s when it was created as a world currency. Um, and so basically they're going to say we need a replacement of that, and they're going to use Russia and Putin as a fall guy. All right, so he's got a lot of things going on. You got the change of regime in Israel with Benjamin Netanyahu not being in the power seat, the prime minister any longer. That's another topic for another day. I'm gonna do a lesson on that probably after this one. But all these things that are happening right now are prophetic, and it's being stirred up by Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. So you can see the tone being set. You can feel it in the air, like with the things that's going on with China and America, Russian denouncing 184 billion of their U.S. debt dollars, um, and removing them and using other forms of currency going towards the euro. These are all big things that are leading to our captivity being over and America being done, man. America's being stripped naked as we speak. But just like how the bully does, he has to give his last hurrah to make everybody else still thinks he's in the power seat. Once you punch the bully in the nose, he still has to fight to try to make whoever else can believe that, you know what I'm saying? Whoever else will fall and still be scared, afraid of him, they still have to try to flex their muscles a little bit. But like the elder said in this video, you have one country that stands up to the bully, then it creates a trend. And now, when Biden mentioned every last uh, world leader that was in that meeting is in NATO. So now, what happens when you have the United States and Russia bumping heads along with China, Iran, North Korea? Um, that'll do catastrophic damage to not only the world uh, economy, but the world for humanity as a whole. Because if America, Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, and NATO get involved in a hot conflict, it's going to bring out all out war, and in the end all tell all, which is going to happen. But they're going to try to implement the new world order and to try to persuade everybody that they rather do this than to go to war. All right, so this is all, man. Listen, this is beautiful, man. This is beautiful. I'm going to get a couple scriptures real quick going into it. This is Ezekiel chapter 38, verse 1. It says, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog, the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshach and Tubal, and proclaim and prophesy against them." Right? Even though the Lord is stirring this up, he's still against Russia. Um, Gog being the Kremlin, Moscow, Magog being Russia, and Meshach is Eurasia, like the USSR, Northern Eurasia. All right, and it says, "And say, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog and Magog, chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thy horses and horsemen, and all them that clothe with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields. So you're seeing the formation of Russia, of the Soviet Union, of USSR going back to the Soviet Union, all right, and being a reckoning threatful force like it was in the 80s and 90s, all right, and accompanied by other nations that are seeing in Russia and China stand up to the bully, being America, the hammer of the earth, and these other nations are going to be like, hey, we're strong too, all right. So that's you're seeing the formation of the destruction of America being stripped naked. They're doing it economically with the cyber attack. These cyber attacks is gonna affect the economy a lot more than what it's affecting now, and it's gonna cause a decaying on the inside of the infrastructure of America, starting with the money. What is the thing that holds America together? The dollar. Now, with them getting rid of the dollar and going by bilateral movements instead of trilateral or multilateral, meaning they don't have to deal with the dollar anymore. So therefore, those sanctions are going to have none effect. All right. So Russia even said the sanctions are going to be they're going to be invulnerable to them sanctions. All right. So now there's no telling what's going to be the outcome of this meeting between Joe Biden and Vladimir Putin. All right. It says, verse 5, it says, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all them with shields and helmets. Gomar and all his bands, the, the house of Togarmah, the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. All right, these are all the nations that are going to be in company with Russia. All right, it says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. All right, so now you seeing Russia building up the military arsenal, flexing their muscles, like flexing real hard. They said if they provoke their provocation is to get these other nations to see how powerful Russia is in the back down, mainly America. But America, being the hammer of the earth, has to still flex its muscle and declare itself as being the bully. All right, and it says verse 8, it says, after many days thou shalt be visited, and in the latter years thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword, and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely all all of them. Thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land. Thou and all thy bands and many people with thee. Thus, this is the point right here I wanted to get to. It says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. And that evil thought is going to be against America. And it said, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages, and I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls, and having their having neither bars nor gates. All right, so that's the point I wanted to get at, man. Russia being the bear, meaning being enough to take America down. So America, Putin and Biden sitting down to having this meeting, right? You already know what Biden's going to be doing. He's not going to try to negotiate. He's going to dictate. All right, and he said he's talking about creating a red line. Russia's already created that red line that like you cross it, and there's going to be consequences. And America's saying the same thing that if Russia keeps up with their cyber attacks and different types of forms of provocations of war, that America's going to respond. And then you got that American citizen guy that's over there in jail or in prison in Russia, and who knows what's going to happen with that guy. All right, so you got a lot of things unfolding, man. Within this, it's only Monday, you know what I'm saying, and within this week already, man, so many things happening, man. And it's all to the glory and praise of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai, speeding things up to get us delivered. All right, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying and served its purpose. With that, it's like Sekah Halayim La Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai by Shem Harakakwadash my mom. Double honors to the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Harold Wan as well. Salutations to the Arkin that are pushing the truth and sincerity and truth. And peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.